Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Add This to Your Playlist, Volume 1, Episode 4, hosted by me, E-Man, and as always I'm going to be taking you through some of the best tracks that are currently out there, in my opinion, for you to add to your playlist. As always, I'm going to be going through some hip-hop, some R&B, some stuff that's kind of in between, maybe a little bit of house, and we're going to focus on artists from the UK, from the US, and basically worldwide. As always, if you really like the video, just leave a comment, maybe like, maybe subscribe, and if you've got any suggestions on things that I need to listen to, please do let me know. And as always, I feel like I do recommend a lot of good music to you guys, so if you're feeling it, just let me know. If you're not feeling it, let me know. It's always good for that little bit of engagement, So, as always, let's get into it. Let's not muck around. Let's start with track number 1. Alright, so the first track I'm going to get into is by a guy called Currency with a dollar sign, and he's been around for a long while, so I'm sure you guys have heard of Cash Money. So when you think of Cash Money, you think of Lil Wayne, you think of Birdman, and Currency actually used to be a part of those guys. He was actually signed to the label. I think they did maybe 1 or 2 tracks together. I think that kind of deal kind of fell apart, or he kind of left those guys, and there was a little bit of animosity. I think the contract negotiations or something like that was kind of a bit weird, so he kind of left and kind of went on to kind of do his own thing. He was kind of on the underground circuit, kind of bubbling away for a couple of years, and then he kind of found his own specific lane, his own little niche of music, or his own sort of brand of hip hop to kind of put out. I know, like I said, Cash Money, you think bling bling, you think of white vests, jerseys, and all of that sort of stuff, and very mainstream sort of hip hop. But Currency kind of plugged away and kind of found his own sort of niche, and his niche is kind of, when he says jet life, he's talking about, the whole sort of weed sort of stuff, the weed sort of raps, the whole laid back New Orleans flow, and he incorporates that into a lot of his music. He's also got a big fascination with cars. Like, even this track itself is actually called the 90s iRock Z, which is actually an American power car. He's basically talking about that, and a lot of his projects and albums always makes car references. So he kind of found that sort of niche sort of hip hop, and over the years he's grown into, probably, me personally, I'll put him in my 10 top, I don't know what, rappers, or 10 top hip hop artists of all time, just because he's been able to consistently give me tracks, project after project, he's been able to give me tracks. So I really rate him, really rate him highly. This is like probably like his 10th project he's released this year. That's the consistency that he does. So this is from his newest project, and it features Wiz Khalifa. I'm sure you guys have all heard about Wiz Khalifa, and it's very interesting. Those guys kind of came on a come up, and they've all kind of gone their separate ways, in terms of like Wiz is more on the mainstream side, and then Currency is kind of on that underground sort of route, but they're still kind of linked up, and they're still kind of friends, when you and your friends are riding different waves, but you're still building, that sort of thing. But yeah, this is another good track, and as always, like, I'm a big fan of the use of the saxophone, in tracks. I know it's got that sort of 80s Miami's Vice sort of, whenever I hear that sort of saxophone thing, I'm always thinking of that sort of 80s sort of movie sort of thing. And it's used really well here. It's a really laid back track, and it comes with those sort of Currency trademark sort of Currency sort of ad libs, that sort of like that. He always does that. Like, if you're a Currency fan, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's a real laid back hip hop track, and it does have Wiz Khalifa kind of sort of singing on a chorus, and then he drops a verse as well. But yeah, for me, this is like what Currency does and what he does best. Just give me quality music time and time again. So yeah, if you're really looking for that, I definitely suggest that you add this to your playlist. Alright, so the second track I'm going to get into is by a UK group called The Gorillaz. I'm sure you guys have heard of them, Matt Damon and the rest of them, or the cartoon characters that he's got. And yeah, Gorillaz, they've been on the scene for a minute, linking up on their first sort of album with the sort of De La Soul guys, and then projects like all the way up to like Plastic Beach and things like that. They've been putting out quality music in my opinion, and they are a bit more on an alternative sort of side, where they kind of delve into that sort of indie sort of rock sort of side of things, but they still delve into like the hip hop influence sort of side of things. So they've done collaborations with, you know, Kano, they've done collaborations with Snoop Dogg, they've done collaborations with De La Soul, like I mentioned previously. They've collaborated with loads of people, full stop. Like they've put in the work. And this track is a new track by them, and it features Schoolboy Q. And you should know Schoolboy Q, part of TDE, you know, with Kendrick Lamar, Ab-Soul, things like that. I think, to be honest, Schoolboy Q might actually be my favourite member of TDE, to be honest. Yeah, I do think he is. He's a great rapper. And it's kind of like a funky, sort of weird sort of sound that these guys kind of collaborate on, and then it comes through with some hard bars by Schoolboy Q towards the end of the track. And it's part of like a single series they're kind of doing. I think it's called like Sound Machine or something like that. So it's not like over the last couple months they've been releasing singles like randomly. I think they did another one with Slow Tie, and yeah, they've just been releasing those sort of singles. Maybe they're gonna collate it and put it together in some sort of project, but I think it's a really good song, really good song. It's very different, very weird, but you know, like I don't mind that. And Schoolboy Q, for me, he comes through and just absolutely murders the track, man, absolutely murders it. But yeah, I definitely recommend that you add this to your playlist. Alright, so the third track I'm going to get into is by a guy called Patrick Page, and it's called Voodoo 2, I think it is. And so Patrick Page is part of a crew that I kind of mentioned in one of my last videos called The Internet. And The Internet are kind of disbanded sort of group from Odd Future. So it's got people like Matt Macy in there, Sid the Kid, and Matt Martians as well, I think, and there may be another person I might be missing. Don't kill me for it. But The Internet are great. Like they're like, if you love the sort of, I don't know, soul, sort of jazz, sort of hip hop infused indie sort of music, The Internet are right up there. And Sid, for me, in the sort of R&B singing world, I think she's got the best voice. Like, I've been a fan of Sid since I heard her on, what was it? It was probably one of like the old Odd Future tapes. Like, I think it was volume 2, and I heard her on Analog. She, for me, best voice out there, and she's done loads of things with like the rest of the sort of what are they called, Odd Future crew. So yeah, they're really good indie / neo R&B group, like really good. So yeah, he's part of that, but he's kind of gone on himself, and he's kind of gone away and done this project. I think it's called Letters of Irrelevance, and this project is a really great project, really great project. He does come with the sort of rapping, which I've never really heard him on before. Like with The Internet, I think he maybe rapped once or twice, but I didn't really realize that it was him. But on this project he kind of raps and maybe sings a little bit throughout, and this track called Voodoo, oh man, like this is why I started these videos, to kind of give this like shine light onto this great music. This is great music. It came out in 2018, the project itself, but man, the song is just great. It's really good. Patrick, I think he sings and raps throughout it, because I did not look for a feature, and I don't think there is any feature on there. But yeah, Patrick Page, salute to you, man. Like this is one of my favorite songs of 2018. I could definitely say that. And it was kind of one of those things where I heard this song first, and I kind of went away and kind of researched on the album, and then listened to the album, and I was very surprised and very happy that I did actually check it out. So don't just add this song to your playlist, but also if you're a fan of that sort of indie or if you're a fan of The Internet, like definitely listen to this project if you haven't already. But yeah, I definitely recommend that you add this to your playlist. Alright, so the fourth track I'm going to get into is by a guy called Javon. I think that's how you pronounce it. And Javon is kind of like a UK rapper, and he kind of delves in sort of straight up hip hop stuff, and he has done a bit of grime. I don't know if he kind of originated in grime as well, but he's got a very interesting flow. He's got a very like punchy sort of rapping style, and I really do rate him. But on this track here called Blossomed, he actually sings on it, which is very different, but very good at the same time. So Blossomed is a great track. It kind of samples, like I mentioned, the Gorillaz earlier. It samples a track they did called Empire Ants. So if you know the song Empire Ants from the Gorillaz from the Plastic Beach album, you'll hear the sample in this and you'll recognize it straight away. But yeah, this is a really good, like, it's a banger. And you know, sometimes it does kind of make me upset. Like, this should have taken over or been played at carnival or been played at like festivals or something like that, because it's a banger. And like, it does kind of get to me that, you know, sometimes things that are just popular do overtake things when the quality isn't there. Like, I understand they're great songs on that, but this is just a great song. This should be pushed out in carnival, like when you've got your red stripe, when you've got your flag, if you're Caribbean or whatever, like, you know, when you're munching down on your jerk chicken or your rice and peas, this tune should have been getting banged out and, you know, been like one of the songs of carnival or the songs of the summer. You know, I rate it highly, and maybe there's more people out there who do really rate the song as much as I do. But yeah, this is a banger. Like, I will definitely be playing this at some sort of event if I do get the chance. And yeah, I really like it. It's very bouncy, very like, it makes you want to dance. Like, there's not a lot of songs out there that actually make you want to dance nowadays, and this is one of them. Like, it's definitely a summer banger, and he done really well on it. And you know, I kind of keep an eye out for him, and I'm kind of interested to see when he does come with like a sort of maybe a fuel project or maybe an album. I'll be interested to see what he does, but he's a very interesting artist, and I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for him. But definitely add this song to your playlist. Alright, so the fifth track I'm going to talk about is by two guys. One's called Tom Misk and one's called Yusef Days. So Tom Misk, I kind of got introduced to him, I think I was at work and I was listening to like Radio 6 or something like that, or someone like had it on or whatever. And yeah, I heard a track from Tom Misk, and like, I've always been a fan of like the bass guitar. I've always been a fan of that sort of, you know, old school sort of 80s sort of soul jazz sort of style or whatever. Tom Misk is like a baby of that. He's obviously listened to those guys from back in the day, and he definitely incorporates that into the music he puts out today. I listened to his project Geography, and yeah, I loved it, absolutely loved it. It's a really good project if you're into that sort of jazz, sort of R&B sort of side of things. It was a really good song, really good album, sorry. And yeah, he's kind of linked up with Yusef Days, who's basically a drummer. So you got a guitarist and you got a drummer. They come together and they put out great music. And so yeah, they linked up on this project called What Kind of Music. And yeah, What Kind of Music is basically them going back to back, putting out great tracks. And it isn't always about, you know, just Tom providing the sort of vocals. Sometimes it's just like instrumental tracks, and they work really well together, really well. It's probably one of my favorite projects from this year, basically. And yeah, this track is a little bit more of an upbeat track where Tom kind of gives his sort of backing vocals, while, you know, Yusef comes through with that sort of crazy, sort of mad, like he's got like a dreads or whatever. So like when he's going at the drums, you know, it's got that mad sort of energy to it, and I can kind of imagine him going crazy on the drums while this track is going. But yeah, it's a really sort of upbeat sort of track, and Tom's vocals work really well on it, and it does put me in a good mood, a really good mood. It's basically called I Did It For You. But yeah, this is one of my favourite tracks of the year, and like I said, that album as well was probably one of my favourite albums of the year as well. But yeah, really good song, and I definitely recommend that you add it to your playlist. Alright, so the sixth track I want to talk about is from one of my, like, I've got 3 R&B guys that are probably at the upper echelon of R&B that I rate, like, at the moment. And number 1 will probably be Frank Ocean. The next one will be Pyke Next Door, and then the third one I would say is probably Ty Dolla $ign. But today we're going to talk about Pyke Next Door. So he released a project quite recently called Party Mobile, and this is a track called Another Day. And yeah, like I think with Pyke Next Door, he's a very interesting guy. Like a lot of fans of Pyke Next Door probably heard his first project, which was called Pyke Next Door, and on that project it was kind of like the introduction to him like as an artist. And I feel like he kind of was like a source / R&B guy, like who came with a different sort of flow that was kind of like no one else was kind of doing that. And I do feel a lot of R&B artists now have kind of picked up on that and are kind of doing that at the moment. But with that project being so good, like literally it was a project you can kind of listen to from start to finish without skipping a track. With that being so good, everyone or some of the Pyke Next Door fans that I speak to kind of wish they had that same party on all of the sort of projects going forward. But you know, that's the thing with artists. Sometimes they kind of evolve, sometimes they kind of change, and they move in different directions. So you can't always expect to have what you heard on the first album on the fifth album. So with this project, Party Mobile, he's kind of, I feel like Party's more laid back. I feel like he's kind of more, you know, not talking about, you know, not talking about like, I don't know, not talking about like maybe stuff that he was doing in his youth when he was like running around with different girls, or you know, taking next man's girl or something like that. He's more kind of reserved and talking about like, you know, more mature stuff. And this track is called Another Day, and I feel like this is probably for me like the best track on the project. It was an okay project. Obviously I don't think it's his strongest project, but yeah, it was alright. But yeah, this track is probably like the best song off there for me personally. And it's him doing what he does. I'm sure he probably produced it. And you know, he kind of he has those sort of one-liners that makes you think. I know there was one track, you know, you were thinking about us and you're talking about we, you speak French now. You know, those little one-liners in there. Like he's very, very good with that. And he kind of does that. He drops a couple of them in this track here as well. But yeah, it's definitely like up there as probably a good R&B song, and like I said, it was a decent project. But yeah, definitely add this to your playlist. Alright, so for my seventh track is by an artist called Gunna, and this track is called Don't Play Around. Yeah, Gunna, if you like source rap, basically that's people like I mentioned, like Lil Uzi Vert, you know, Rich the Kid, or you know, your Roddy Riches, or people like Lil Pump, or your Extensions, XXX Extension, sorry, Tenacion, or whatever his name is. It's basically that that's source rap to me. And Gunna, he's at the forefront. He is like literally like the top guy. Gunna and probably like Lil Baby, they're probably at the top of the whole sort of source rap world or whatever. So Gunna, obviously, he came through with that breakthrough track. I think it's called Top Off or something like that. And yeah, he's back with his album called Wanna. And yeah, this track is probably my favourite track off the album. It's called Don't Play Around, and it's got that same sort of like laid back, like he's got a flow which it's a bit like Young Thug. Like Young Thug, sometimes you don't even understand what he's saying, but because it works so well, you just kind of like you get on with it. It's just like a vibe. Same thing like Playboy Carti. It's like most of the time you can't understand what this guy's saying, but it just works. It's just saucy. It's just sauce. Like it just makes you want to skank out. So yeah, this track Don't Play Around is definitely one of those like sort of vibey sort of tracks, and it's probably for me the best track on the album. Like I've added it to my playlist and I play it all the time. And yeah, like I said, it's from the album Wanna. He did release a deluxe version, which I think last week, which I've still got to listen to, and hopefully I can take a couple tracks off there. But yeah, if you're into source rap, you're gonna know who Gunna is, or you're gonna know about his projects. But definitely, if you want to get into that sort of side of things, this is a great album to start at. But yeah, definitely add this to your playlist. Alright, so for my 10th track is actually from a trio of artists. The first artist is Skepta, the second artist is Chips, and the third artist is Young Ads. And they released a collaborative project earlier this year, and this track is called Mains. And like I said on my previous track, it's got that sort of sauce flow, you know, that sort of. I'm not a rapper, so don't expect me to spit no bars. But yeah, it's got that same sort of flow, and it's a really, really good song. And it's one of those tracks that, like I said, it could go toe to toe with anything that America or the American source artists are putting out. And these guys, they kind of complement each other really, really well. Obviously, Chip always comes through with the like intricate, hardest sort of, you know, like this guy, you know, this guy's a barer. Like he said it before, he don't run out of bars. Like he comes with that sort of side of things, and then Young Ads is more on, you know, I'm sure he's influenced by a lot of those sort of Little Babies, those sort of Rich the Kids, the Roddy Richies. He's influenced by those guys a lot, so he comes with that sort of style of things. And then Skepta as well, he's kind of like that in between, where he kind of does a little bit of sauce, but then he still comes through with the sharp bars as well. And for me personally, this was the best track of that project, and it was a really, really interesting thing for those guys to do. You know, they're all at the top of the game in their own sort of respective fields. But yeah, for them to come through on a project just on themselves, like a collaborative project between 3 artists, was really, really different. And it was a good project. It was a good project. There were some songs I didn't like, but some of the songs that I do like are really, really good. So yeah, well done to them. But yeah, like I said, this is my favourite project and my favourite track off the album. So definitely add this to your playlist. Alright, so for my 11th track is a track which is basically South African house. So on Twitter, I'm heavy on Twitter. I've actually got my Twitter link to this, so you can kind of add me up if you want to. But on Twitter, over the last couple of weeks, or maybe like a month ago, there was like a viral clip of some girls in South Africa kind of enjoying like South African music. And this was kind of like one of those clips where I heard the beat, I heard the vibe, and I was like, wow, this is sick. And then I think another clip went around like that, and the track that was on that was kind of like so good. I was like, look, I need to find out this track. So I kind of went through the comments, and luckily someone said, yeah, this is the name of the track. So the name of this track is Gong Gong by Quish SA. I hope that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, this is like the epitome of South African house, man. This is just a vibe. It's just a vibe. Like I love house. I love house music, and you know the influences of the sort of Afro beat in it as well. It just makes it a winner. It just makes it a winner. Like as I said previously in some of my other videos, I really want to go out to like a South African house rave or like a day party or something like that, because I know it will be a vibe. I know it. So yeah, you guys better be glad that I'm putting you onto this early, because look, once the lockdown is fully lifted and we're out here raving again, this stuff is going to be kicking off in the clubs. Mark my words. So yeah, definitely add this to your playlist. Alright, for my next track is from a guy called Conway The Machine. So Conway The Machine is part of a group who I've mentioned before called Griselda. And Griselda are probably like the hardest rap group to come out of New York right now. Like for them, I feel like they're currently on, like, everyone who's like a rapper, like, I mean, coming with the bars, like Griselda are always featured on their tracks, either one of them, like whether that be Benedict Butcher, whether that be Conway The Machine, like I've mentioned, whether that be Westside Gun, like they're just everywhere. Like if you're into hip hop, like, and you're into raps, these guys, you're gonna know about these guys. Like I said previously, like these guys are probably like the closest thing we've had to, you know, the old school sort of 50 Cent. They've got that New York sort of, you know, that New York, I'm from New York, you know, the accent was terrible. But yeah, they've got that sort of New York vibe to them. And yeah, Conway The Machine is probably like the first guy I heard from that group, and he's got like that sort of distinctive flow where, and that sort of like distinctive ad-libs where he kind of has that little laugh in the background and stuff like that. But the track is nothing but serious bars, and it is actually quite a serious subject. he kind of makes reference to a lot of the stuff that happened with George Floyd, and he also puts it down to like, he also has like some witty lines in there like, look, before they kneel on my neck, or you know, they take me to the precinct, I'm gonna go in a body bag. That's how it really is with it. So you know, it's a really, really hard like rap track, and you know, I do like my R&B, but at the same time I do like the bars as well. So this is a great song to kind of add to your playlist. Alright, for my next track is from a guy called Don Toliver. And Don Toliver is signed to Travis Scott's label. And yeah, he's kind of like a singer, or probably like the first singer on that label. And his project, like the project that he dropped most recently called Heaven or Hell, is really, really good. Like really, really good. I didn't really hear too many people talking about it and stuff like that, but like it's really, really good if you're into that sort of style of things. Like if you're into Travis Scott and you're into, you know, his, I keep mentioning it, but if you're into like that sort of soul sort of rap, or that sort of, maybe it's not even soul sort of rap, maybe it's just new age hip hop, maybe that's what it is. If you're into that, like you're gonna like this, like you're gonna love this project, because that he does it so well. And I feel like obviously with Travis, his music is very, very polished, it's very, very mainstream, the production on it is really, really, really good, because I feel like he knows what sounds work, and he maybe he dabbles in it himself. And that's the same thing I can say for this project. Like the production in it is great, like the vocals sound great, he works really well on it. And I think with Don Toliver, it's kind of weird, but he sounds like sometimes like, you know, someone's Af. And when I say Af, I mean, you know, someone's African. Like he's got a little twinge in the way he sings that makes you think, like, this guy, maybe he's from Niger, I don't even know. But like he's got that sort of sound to him, and it's very distinctive. It's very, very different from all of the singers that are currently, or the American sort of singers that are out there at the moment. But yeah, I really rate it. And this track is called Cardigan, and it is one of those saucy sort of tunes again that you can kind of bop to. But yeah, I rate it very highly, and I really think his project is really, really good. I definitely recommend you go and check that out as well. But yeah, definitely add this to your playlist. Alright, so the next track I'm going to get into is by a group called the Free Nationals. So if you're a fan of Anderson .Paak, you're going to know who the Free Nationals are. So Anderson .Paak, whenever he does like a tour, or whether he's performing, or whether he's at a festival or anything like that, he always is performing alongside the Free Nationals. And the Free Nationals consist of three guys. You've got someone on the keys, you've got someone on the guitar, and you've got another person on, I think, the bass guitar. And they're a great group in their own right. They're not just like the backup dancers or backup singers for Anderson .Paak. They're a great group in their own right. And this is kind of solidified with the sort of release that they released, their latest album, or their sort of debut album called The Free Nationals. And that project is like, if you're a fan of funk, if you're a fan of like old school sort of funk and those sort of vibes, you're gonna love this album. It's like these guys, I could literally take their music and take their projects and maybe drop them in the 80s, or drop them alongside like, I don't know, like an Earth, Wind and Fire or something like that, and they'd fit in so well. Like they could be around in the 80s and you wouldn't even know the difference. That's how good they are. And yeah, this track is called Oslo, and it's one of the like, it's like a really, really good feel good song. It's kind of like gets you doing like the air guitar and all of that sort of stuff. But it's a really, really good song, really, really feel good vibe. And I think the guy who plays on the keys, I'm not sure of his name, he has that sort of West Coast sort of like electronic voice when he's playing the keys and stuff like that, and it works really well on this. But yeah, it's a really, really good song, a really, really feel good song. So yeah, add this to your playlist. Alright, so my next track is by a guy called Action Bronson, and it's called The Latin Grammys. Action Bronson, he's one of my favourite rappers at the moment. I remember the first track I heard Action Bronson on was probably called Terry, and that's a really, really good song. Go back and listen to that, Action Bronson, Terry, one of his standout tracks. But I did hear about a guy who was, you know, rapping, and he was kind of similar to Ghostface from the Wu-Tang Clan. And, you know, Action Bronson, he's got his own distinctive voice, that very New York sort of voice. To me, they all kind of sound the same. Like, I don't think it was a big thing, but you know, maybe it was a bit of animosity between those two different camps, and I think something kind of popped off or whatever. But you know, Action Bronson, he's a great artist in his own right, and yeah, he is kind of similar in voice to Ghostface, but they're definitely two separate artists in terms of what they talk about. With Action Bronson, like I said, I heard that track called Terry, which is a great track from that album, which was called Mr. Wonderful. But then he followed up and released a project called Blue Chip 7000, and that project, man, oh man, like, that for me is my favorite project that Action Bronson has ever done. Like, it was a really, really good project, really, really good project. There's one track on there where I think he's trying to call up like a taxi cab or something like that, and the taxi cab company puts him on hold, and he literally raps over the hold sort of dial tone or whatever it is, and that's probably one of the waviest tracks that I've heard. Like, full stop. Like, it's wavy, like. So yeah, I really, really rate Action Bronson, and yeah, he's back with his latest single called the Latin Grammys, and it's that same sort of wavy Spanish influenced, or you know, that sort of maracas like vibe. Like, it's definitely like got that influence in it, but he still comes through with those wavy sort of bars. Like, and the video is pretty crazy as well. Like, he's kind of a big guy, but I think he's kind of on a health kick right now, and he's kind of working out, and he's trying to cut weight and stuff like that. So the video is basically his head placed on like the world, like backup footage or archive footage of the world's strongest man, and it's him placing his head on there, and it's a weird video. Watch it, check it out, it's really, really good. But yeah, I really, really love this track. I really, really think Action Bronson is great, and yeah, I definitely recommend that you add this to your playlist. Alright, so for my 14th track is from a guy called Capo Lee, and this track is called Grateful. So Capo Lee, if you're into grime or the UK grime scene, you'll know that Capo Lee is probably one of the leaders of the sort of the new generation. So, you know, everything after, you know, your Kano, your Wiley, your Dizzies, and all of those sort of guys, and you've got like a new generation of MCs, and definitely Capo Lee is kind of like at the forefront when you kind of had that conversation. So he released this project called Heart of a Champ, and yeah, with Heart of a Champ, like it really, you know, sometimes with grime MCs, or when I was coming up, a lot of times you kind of, or people kind of pigeonhole them and just say, oh, you're just an MC. But as time went on, you realise people have more time to grow, and they kind of turn into artists. And I think with this project, it really shows that Capo Lee isn't just an MC, he's more of an artist, where he's able to kind of expand on, you know, not to say he's doing, you know, pop songs and this, that and the other. He's just being able to expand on just not just being a grime MC, but actually expanding that and doing different things, or maybe talking about different subject matter, or being able to kind of fit himself on tracks that he wouldn't usually do, and it's still sounding good. So this track is called Grateful, and with this track it kind of touches on that what I mentioned previously. The track itself is more of an Afro beat track with a single on it, but honestly, for me, this is one of the best Afrobeat tracks I've heard, like hands down. And it's another one of those things where, you know, he isn't really known in that world, in the Afrobeat world. He's not Hardy Caprio, he's not One Asen, he's not Tion Wayne. But look, you can put this track against any of those sort of songs or that those guys are doing, and it's good, if not better. Like, I'll stand by that. It's a great song. The subject matter is better. The hook is catchy. Like, the production on it is great. Like, it's up there. It's definitely up there. And yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks. It's really introspective. Capo Lee works really, really well with the bars. And yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite tracks. So yeah, definitely add this to your playlist. All right, for my final track, it's from a guy called Theophilus London, and it's a track called Give You, from his latest project called Bebe. Theophilus London, he is kind of, he's kind of an affiliate, or he was in the sort of like group of like ASAP, all the ASAP sort of guys. So all the, like ASAP Bari, ASAP Rocky, all of that sort of stuff, like Virgil, who obviously does like Off-White and stuff like that. Theophilus was, or Ian Connor, all of those guys, like he was in that sort of circle or whatever. But he obviously releases music as well. And he's a quality artist, you know? He's a quality artist. Like, he released a project called Vibes a couple of years ago, and it did feature, I think, Kanye West on there. And it was a great project, like a big throwback to some old school sort of R&B vibes, and it was a really, really great project. It didn't do too well commercially, but look, the real ones know, innit? The real ones know that this was a great project. So yeah, he's back with another project called Bebe. It actually features Gigs on it, but he's like a New York rapper / singer, and I think he's also got Tame Impala on there as well. So he kind of definitely does kind of delve into different things, and I think he's influenced by a lot of different types of music, but it works really well. But yeah, this is a really upbeat track, really, really good song. It's got a singer on there as well, but yeah, it's kind of like that in the club, like I don't even know if I can say it, like in the club sort of 80s, like Scarface party disco sort of side of things. But yeah, it's a really, really good song. I really want one that can kind of put you in a good mood and make you want to move your feet to. So yeah, I definitely recommend that you add this to your playlist. So yeah, that's my 15 tracks recommended by me to add to your playlist. I really do hope you like them, and as always, if you don't like them, please do let me know. If you are really, really feeling the content that I'm putting out, yeah, hit that subscribe button. As always, please recommend any songs or albums or tracks that you feel I need to listen to, because yeah, there could be some gems on there that I would like as well, and then I can maybe suggest them in my upcoming videos. We've got one more video from this volume, which I will be talking about, you know, songs that are quite relevant and maybe a little bit of songs from the past. And then in my next volume, we're going to kind of go into maybe different artists and maybe 15 songs from the next artist, or 15 of the best songs from a specific artist. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. But yeah, thanks as always for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.